why Xenoblade's opening is amazing. Before we get into this video, it's going to be split into two sections. First one is not very spoiler heavy. If you have met Sharla, you are free to go. And the second half, I will put a second spoiler warning because it will go through spoilers for the entirety of the game. Xenoblade. I genuinely love this game, and I think it has one of the best openings in gaming history, so I'm going to explain why I think it's so good. It starts out pretty simple, just telling you what the world is, Bionis and Mechonis, and then immediately throwing you into a battle 1 year prior, where you play as Dundan, wielding the Monado, fighting some robots. It immediately sets the stakes, with Dundan severely getting injured, and one of his party members dying. Soon after, we end up skipping to a year later, where we meet our soon-to-be protagonist, Shulk, as well as his best friend, Ryan. They wander back to Colony 9, where they live, and meet up with another party member, Fiora. Shulk's doing some research on the Monado. Ryan picks it up, and chaos. You know, the usual. To help out the colony, they need to get some materials, which requires them to go through Tethra Cave. Nothing too major, so they do. We get a good glimpse of the personality of the three main characters. We fight some more enemies, get the materials we needed, and when we're done, the Mechon, the robots you were fighting in the tutorial / opening scene, are back. They're attacking your home. Your party quickly rushes back, where Shulk knows the only way they can do this is by getting the Monado, the only weapon that is able to damage Mechon. And, of course, the entranceway to the room where the Monado is held is destroyed by the Mechon. Great job! So Shulk and Ryan split up with Fiora, so one of them can get the things open and the others can defend the Mechon. Dunban shows up, wielding the Monado, even though he's in severe pain and incapable of using his right arm, due to the injuries caused by the Monado a year prior. He still works through it to help fight off the Monado. Fight off the Mechon. I mean, he is fighting off the Monado, but they eventually make it through. A handful of them. It's actually a really fun section because you're fighting like pretty low-leveled enemies and you have a level 20 character in your party. It's fun. So, of course, the Monado is too much for Dunban to handle. He ends up dropping it, and Shulk rushes forward to grab it to protect his friends and his home. But instead of... Dunban's obviously concerned, considering it causes immense pain to its wielder, to his knowledge. Shulk's able to see the future. He's able to view the enemy's movements before they attack, and react to them. They continue on, and after this triumphant victory, they face a new type of Mechon no one has ever seen before. They can't hurt it. Not even the Monado is capable of dealing a scratch to it. Shulk notices the red veins pulsing throughout it, presuming that to be the case of why they cannot hit it. Fiora shows up and just punches the giant thing with a mech. It's a pretty cool scene, leading into what is my favorite scene in the entirety of Xenoblade Chronicles. Honestly, my favorite scene in the entire Xenoblade series. I love this scene, it's so good. The Mechon, despite not saying anything, because it's a Mechon, they don't speak, shows so much personality, even in small actions. Like, after the party tries to attack it, he just wags his hand. Like, wags his finger like, nah-uh-uh. It's a emotionless being that has so much personality. It is genuinely one of my favorite villains in the series. And by the way, the scene that's playing on screen right now is my favorite scene. And after struggling to not be able to defeat it, after this triumphant victory, he does the unthinkable. He kills off your third party member. He straight up murders in cold blood Fiora, Shulk's probably love interest, your friend, ally, and in my case, the character I was playing as. Yeah, I chose the worst character to play as. So, and it's a lot easier to tell this in Definitive Edition compared to the originals, just because the animation quality is better, because, you know, we're comparing a Wii and 3DS model to a Nintendo Switch model. One's going to look better than the others, but you can tell this. Shulk's distressed, worried, panic. He's trying to change the future of his friend dying. In the original, it just looked like he was gritting his teeth. I'm not joking. But he's trying to change the future, setting in motion the theme of this game. To change fate. Trust me, this theme will return a lot, and it actually doesn't get cliche ever. You can see in his face, and the reason I love Shulk's voice actor so much, I think it's Adam Howden, something like that, is when Fiora dies, you can hear the emotion in his voice, his distress, his desire for blood to kill this monster. The person who has taken everything from him. His home, his friends, probably his family. He never knew them, but... And at that, you can hear how scared Fiora is in her voice. Like, you know what? I'm gonna go play those two clips for you, like, right now.
Fiora! I'll kill you!
As I said, my favorite scene in this entire game, you can feel the emotion in both Fiora's voice, in her bewilderment, the fact how scared she is, and you can hear, and the terror in her voice, and you can hear all the raw emotion spilling out of Shulk. It's amazingly choreographed with angles, how metal faces like, body glows and the parts you see at each time. The emphasis and raw strength that Shulk puts in to keep himself afloat and to protect him and his family. The fact the image is on the cutscene viewer is of Metal Face's blood-stained claws. All this adds to such an emotional scene. Is it weird that I'm considering the opening up to the end of Chapter 2? Yes. But in all fairness, the game didn't have chapters when it originally released, and they don't really exist in Definitive Edition, and they're only there in the cutscene viewer. So, who cares? To me, the game opens up and becomes a Xenoblade game once you start really heading out of Colony 9, which happens soon after this scene. This is really the turning point in the plot. And when I say turning point, I mean, this is like, after Fiora's death, where Shulk decides, I am going to go on this adventure and kill that monster. That thing. That's the point in the story where he goes, we're going to across all of Bionis, we're going to go to Mechonis, and we are going to kill it. We are going to kill everything that is standing in our way of avenging our family and our friends. And that's not even to mention the music. I'm sorry, but the music's incredible, and then the choir pitches in right as Fiora is about to die. Again, this is one of my favorite scenes in Xenoblade, and one of my favorite scenes in video games, and if I were to play more Xeno games, it's probably still going to be my favorite scene in the Xeno series. And that's ignoring all the foreshadowing this opening has. Seriously, pay close attention to everything. But, yeah, genuinely. Obviously, this is like 3 or so hours in. Like, if I'm to do a video about Persona 5's opening, that's basically up till the point where you enter your name. But this is genuinely the first 3 or so hours of the game. But those 3 hours are what sticks with you the most, in my opinion. It's a fantastic game, but there's a reason I always end up coming back to when thinking about Xenoblade 1, discussing Xenoblade 1, I end up thinking of this scene. One, because it's one I can discuss with very little spoilers, because, again, it is within the first handful of hours. I got to it in about 3 hours. I have a save file right before Fiora's death. Yeah, I still have one. That is dated about 2.5 hours, and it's about midway through Chapter 2. But that's the thing. These characters, they have so much raw emotion in them. And so much foreshadowing. So many small details are put into this scene. And we're just talking about loss. That's not to mention all the build-up. I've barely mentioned anything in Tetra Cave. I can keep going on this opening. Tetra Cave pretty much just is your beginner standard dungeon. Doesn't have too much. Its main purpose is just, hey, here are the characters, here's their personality, here's how they bounce off of each other, here's why you should... And the thing is, it gives you enough time to care about Shulk, Ryan, and Fiora, get a good glance of their personality, and a glimpse of their playstyle. Again, I chose Fiora. Yeah, that was a great decision. Let's pick the character who dies 3 hours into the game to be my main. But that's the thing. Everything in this has a massive amount of purpose, and it fills its role. The opening shows what a threat the Mechon are. The first little section of the game shows Shulk and Ryan's dynamic, one you'll be seeing for quite a while, as well as what the Monado is, Shulk and Ryan's purpose in Colony 9, then introduces Fiora, gives a good chance, and then gets all their personalities mixed together in Tetra Cave, leading into a mini-boss against a defense system, where you then see all of this stuff happen, leading into emotional scenes that resolve almost nothing and give only more questions and more reasons to keep playing. Everything in this has a purpose. Almost everything in this will come back. So, this is the part of the video where I discuss things and all the foreshadowing, huh? Just so you know, the non-spoiler part of this video took up the same length as my entire Futaba discussion. I'm not joking. But let's go into all the spoilery stuff. Seriously, if you have not beaten the final boss, you have not had the option to start New Game Plus, do it. There are no spoilers for side quests, even the side quest that is canonically canon, based on Future Connected, and no spoilers for 2, Future Connected, X, or Torna, just the base game of 1. Woo! With that mouthful out of the way, things that are worth noticing are the Monado 1 is completely fine with letting Dunban use it in the opening because it's doing what Zanza wants it to do. It is destroying Mechon, and at that, one of Sansa's disciples is there viewing Dunban, so if he does do something that Zanza does not want, his disciple is there. And then at that, I noticed this as soon as we were introduced to the silver-faced Mechon, that it was Fiora, and that also confirmed to me, okay, Metalface is probably Mumkar. Mumkar? Because both of them were killed by the Mechon. And you can even see this, weirdly, in the scene where Fiora dies. The Mechon are eating her. They're robots. They don't have organs. Why are they eating a human? And then, of course, Shulk isn't inhibited by the Monado. He's the rightful owner of it. He is, at this point in the story, being used as Zanza's vessel. We can see almost every party member, and the thing is, you know Mumkar and Fiora are still alive if you pay enough attention, and again, you can see so much foreshadowing in this. And it does extra well because without Fiora, you genuinely feel like your party is empty, and because you only have 2 people for a decent amount of time, and also a good chunk of time where your only other party member is Sharla. Yeah, I'm sorry, she was ditched the second I had a 4th party member. She is useless. I'm not joking, everyone else with a healing ability is a better healer than Sharla. So almost everyone in this game is a better healer than the dedicated healer. Ricky is the best healer in the game. But obviously, I can also discuss things related to everyone else. But just just all the foreshadowings put into this is so nice. The reason Metalface doesn't talk is because you only heard Mumkar's voice a couple hours ago. So of course he's not going to talk. They don't want you knowing. Because if you can put this together, Metalface is Mumkar, you can put together the faced Mechon are humans. And you can put this together actually relatively easily, since the Monado is incapable of hurting humans, well, Palms, is incapable of harming creations of Bionis. Hence why it can deal damage to human NPCs in Xenoblade 2 and then the rest of the roster in Smash, because they are not creations of the Bionis. They are not children of Zanza. I know, bit confusing, but this is why I'd argue they should have just given Shulk the Monado too. But the thing is, when Ryan slashes Fiora with the Monado when he picks it up because he wanted to feel what it was like, it doesn't harm Fiora. It cannot hurt Homs. This mysterious new Mechon that can't be hurt by the only sword that can damage Mechon, but cannot damage creatures of Bionis? There's no way that could be a creature of Bionis. Look at it, it's very clearly from Mechonis. But it's just so nice, and then the scene where you see all just a bunch of stuff in the future. Will, I was rewatching that to get footage for this video. It was awesome because it's like, hey, I know what happened. It's like the scene in a movie where they say the name of the movie. I like it. See, like, I just like this intro. It sets the stakes. It shows this game is willing, like, yes, I am willing to create a party member who will die a few hours later. A fully playable character. Obviously, barring Fiora was partially repurposed for 7, but... Actually, wait a sec, this is a spoiler discussion. Why am I referring to her as 7? Mecha Fiora. Why am I referring to Mecha Fiora as 7 in a spoiler discussion? Whatever. But you can just... I really like the scene. I really like everything about it. And then, I was only really focusing on Shulk and Fiora. I'm gonna have another video linked in the end card like I did with Futaba. Just because it's good. Oh my god, I just realized I forgot the scene after where Shulk's talking to Ryan right before they decide to go on the journey. It's like there's two voices inside of my head. One's quiet, like the normal one, like my normal one, and one's screaming for vengeance. Shulk says something along those lines. Ryan jokingly comments, that second one sounds like me. But here's the thing. Shulk's consciousness is separate from Zanza. Zanza wants Shulk to go on a murdering spree. Zanza is telling him, take revenge, murder Bionis, murder Mechonis, kill everyone in your path. And Shulk's just being Shulk. But he pretty much says there's two voices in his head. One of them is yelling at him for vengeance. And with hindsight, that second voice is Zanza. It's such a good scene. Like, this and Persona 5 are the games I could really talk about regarding discussions and foreshadowing and great scenes. This one is a lot easier to get footage for because I actually have capture equipment for a Nintendo Switch, and I don't for any Sony consoles. It's also a lot easier. The only Xenoblade game I actually can't get footage of is X. And then these games also have cutscene viewers. Obviously, Persona 5 Royal also has that, but I don't have a way to record a PlayStation 4. I tried. Trust me. But it's nice. All of this sets up the characters, and it sets up great foreshadowing, and it sets up the stakes, and it's just a really good intro. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Only a very small percentage of you are subscribed. Usual YouTube mumbo jumbo. Just look on screen is my most recent video and another video discussing this topic made by a separate YouTuber, as well as links to both of our channels. If you enjoy this video, I've already said this. Look, I'm not good at doing traditional YouTube intros, okay? Just bye.